Hello all, I'm Sai and in today's video, I'm bringing to you my review and discussion video of A Court of Frost and Starlight by J Maas, which is the novella or book in between the third and fourth books inside the series. I have my review and discussion videos for the first 3 books inside the series already out in the channel, and all of them are linked down in the description and also in the iCards. So if you're interested in watching them, do go forward and check them out. And by the time I'm filming this video, I've also finished reading the 4th book, which is A Court of Silver Flames. I'm going to do this video in the usual way that I've been doing the previous 3 videos, in which I'll be giving a small spoiler-free review for this book in the first few minutes of the video, and then I'll jump into spoilers. Another thing which I want to tell is, I'm not going to do my review in the usual way that I do for the other books for this one, since it's a novella. So without any further ado, let's get into the video right away. So A Court of Frost and Starlight actually happens during the Winter Solstice Festival that happens after the end of this huge war that we see in the 3rd book, and the way in which the author has set up it has really nice, and it basically just feels like a Christmas book compared to anything else. It is just like this fun holiday that all the people in Prithian can use to just relax and let down their hair and just breathe for some time without any kind of crisis, and that's exactly what happens in this book. It is basically just a bridge book in between the 3rd book and the 4th book inside the series, one of which is going to close an arc of the story and the other is going to open an arc of the series. So basically in this book what happens is, the arc of the series which has Feyre as the main character gets closed up in a proper way, and the arc of the series which is going to follow Cassian and Nesta as the main characters is going to open up. So if you're a person who likes Feyre just like I do, by reading her across the 3 books inside the series, I'm sure that you'll feel a bit sad while reading this book, because I did feel sad because I was able to see the fact that Feyre is not going to be a main character anymore for the series. It kind of bummed me out. There is also this other thought which I kept on having while reading this book, that the publishers must have thought to milk out as much as they could out of the series, because I basically think this 4th book or 3.5 book inside the series is not at all necessary, because it does not add anything that is that much important for the series personally, if you ask me. Because everything that is said in this book number 3.5 is exactly repeated as such in book 4 too, except for one person alone who makes an appearance here in order to close up his arc or show some kind of redemption for him in the rest of the series. That person is mentioned here, but I don't think that person is mentioned in the 4th book. So it's basically just a filler for the story that, brings the 3rd and 4th book closer together more than anything else. But as I said before, I personally think I could have skipped this book, and this book is not necessary if you ask me. By saying all this, I am not by any chance saying that this book is not fun or doesn't have any substance to it. If you're a person who's a fan of the series just like I am, and if you're a person who's a fan that is even more passionate about the series than me, I'm sure you will love this book so much, because this is the only time when we get to see the characters not trying to save the world. Okay, they are just being themselves, enjoying some alone time with their loved ones and just being present in the moment, rather than just fighting against a crisis as they've been for the first 3 books. There is also a little bit of character build-up and development that we see in this book, which I think sets up the rest of the series properly rather than anything. For example, Cassian and Nesta are the 2 people who we are going to follow in the 4th book, which is A Court of Silver Flames. So we get to see a bit more of their backstory and why they are where they are, and what makes all those things that they are doing justifiable for them inside this book. It's not even given to such a granular extent. We just get like a surface level understanding of who they are and why they are doing certain things, and that is expanded upon and zeroed in on in book 4. Personally, I think that this book was more used to close the arc of Feyre as the main character and open the arc of Nesta as the main character. Despite that, for me, I personally thought that Nesta was not main character material at all inside this book. We get to know a lot more about her in book 4. But in this book, I can say that Nesta and Cassian were not necessary, because everything that is said here is said there too, but more in detail. So personally, for me, if this was the book that just concentrated on the Winter Solstice alone, I think it would have been much better. Moving to the other characters also, I can say that the sister bond that Feyre, Nesta and Elaine have is also slightly explored here, and what all 3 of them are doing with their lives after the end of the war, after suffering some heavy losses of their own, and how they are coping with them in their own ways is also shown here. It is nice, but I cannot say that nothing was that much impactful if you ask me. Apart from them, we also get to see Rhys and Cassian as well as Asriel having some friend time to just bond over and just relax. Okay, this book is basically just about our main characters relaxing and trying to take a breather in between all the shit that they have to deal with. It is not boring also in that way, okay? It is kind of interesting in a way, and we also get to see Feyre exploring that artist side of her because of certain things situations that happen and certain kinds of people that she interacts with. So if you're a person who likes Farah just like I do, based on the growth that she has been through, starting from book 1 to the place that she is right now, I'm sure you will enjoy this book. For me personally, of all the things inside this book, the instances in which Farah was just able to relax and not constantly worry about someone or something was really nice to read. So to conclude the spoiler-free part, I will say that if you're a hardcore fan of the series, who's in for anything that the author writes inside this world, I'd say just go forward and read it, and sure you'll have one hell of a time. Even if you're a person who's like me, that is not that much attached to the series in any way but still enjoys it, I think you will have a good time. But personally for me, I think that I could have skipped this book, because even after reading A Court of Silver Flames, it doesn't feel like this provides anything much compared to that one character sideline alone, which is not as much explored in book 4. Even with that, I think it could have been explained in just like a 10 more pages or so in book 4 itself, and just using this book to show that kind of redemption arc for him here was not that great if you ask me. So overall, I can say that if you're a super fan of the series, go forward and read it. I'm sure you will love it. And even if you're like a low-key fan of the series like me, I think you might still enjoy it. But if you ask me, need you read this book or not, I'd say you need not. You can just straight away dive into book 4, because even though there are tidbits of information here, I don't think they are that much necessary to continue on with the series. So I ended up rating this one 3 out of 5 stars. And now I'm going to jump into spoilers. So if you don't want to be spoiled for the book, I'd suggest you to step out of the video. Otherwise, let's just discuss now. So in the spoilers, the first thing that I want to discuss is Farah getting to paint again, okay? The instant itself during which that other fairy comes and gives Farah an invitation, calling her to join them in that art gallery where they are going to paint each and every week for one night together, was really, really nice. And once Farah started painting, she also thought of including that as a process for some other people who might be struggling with so many trauma and grief that have resulted from the war that was happening in book 3. We can see that many children, many women, many men, and so many others just come forward and indulge themselves in some kind of, art is kind of an output in order to show their emotions. It was really, really nice, okay? We all know that art can be a really great healing source for so many people. And personally, I can say that I have experienced that multiple times in my life when I was like in my teens and so. It is not like we are detaching ourselves from that, but it is like we are processing that emotion and putting it out in the world in a physical form, in the form of art. It doesn't just add value to the art and make it even more beautiful. It also helps us to process our own grief, emotions and trauma in a healthy way without hurting ourselves or anyone else in the process. So Sarah J Maas using that as a tool inside here in order to help the characters process the grief and trauma that they've been through, especially after that huge war in 3, was such a beautiful move if you ask me. We also get to see that Reese ends up gifting Farah a whole new art gallery itself for her birthday and for the winter solstice together. It was really, really fulfilling and satisfying to see that, okay? I think that's one of the main reasons why many people just love to ship Farah and Reese together, because they just fit in together very, very well. They respect each other, they trust each other's boundaries, they know what to give to the other person in order to keep their relationship healthy and going as it is. And I think that's one thing which has not been that well explored for any of the other pairs inside the series. Next, I want to talk about the annual tradition that all the 3 men in the series get together and do, okay? I'm talking about Reese and Cassian and Azriel, of course, and the snowball fight that they do for one day each and every year, okay? Just imagine these 3 mighty warriors. They are like literally mighty warriors inside the world, and they get together one day each and every year just to play snowball fighting with each other. Just reading that felt very delightful, at the same time super funny, okay? They are like insanely brave warriors who are known to have saved the world, and they take one day out of each and every year to just go forward and throw snowballs at each other. Just picturing it itself feels so warm and cozy and heart melting for me. It just shows us the moments of friendships that they want to enjoy just by themselves. They don't include anyone else inside the process, despite them also being inside the exclusive group that they have formed. And it was nice to see them bonding together, and I for sure did not expect to see the snowball fight just being depicted as such by the author here, because it was very wholesome to read. I think that's one thing which just added like a really, really beautiful layer for the story and took it out of kind of, a sad tone that was lingering continuously as like a hue over the story until that happened. The conversation that happened between Reese and Tamlin in this one, if you ask me, is the most important part of this book, okay? Because everything else that we see here is either kind of something which is written to soothe our heart after that huge war, or it is just used as a setup for the next book inside the series. But personally, I think this is the only place where we feel like the author has gone out of her way and she wanted to address this thing which has happened to Tamlin, okay? It's not like everything that he did was right or everything that he did was wrong also. He had his own reasons, and anyone who's in that place having that much responsibility weighing on them and also kind of toxically in love will do some of the things that Tamlin has done. It was nice to see that the author was making Tamlin address all those things by himself, and he was also clearly depressed, okay? Because when Rhysand goes and wants to talk with Tamlin itself, he can see that there are no wards around his mansion, okay? The guy is so depressed that he doesn't even care about protecting his home from anyone, because everyone that has been serving down him have left him because they know that Rhysand has betrayed the kingdom of Prythian by pairing up with Hybern, despite all the reasons that he had backing it up. And how he is like lost everything despite having helped them, even though it's his responsibility, and is now suffering the aftermath of all that was very realistic to read. And at the same time, we also see him asking Rhysand whether he forgives him for having killed his family or not. And Rhysand is like, you didn't even ask for forgiveness, so how you'll know whether I forgave you or not? That was a really, really nice touch, because in no point do we see Tamlin apologizing to anyone. Okay, he's feeling bad. He's able to see that what he did was not right, but he's not ready to go forward and say a word sorry, okay? He's not able to apologize to anyone. He's not apologizing to Lucien. He's not apologizing to Feyre for sure. And even now, though the guilt is eating him from inside, he's not apologizing to Lucien. He just asks whether he is forgiven or not. He's kind of a mess right now, and he's like totally depressed because of all the things that have happened. And we can see why Rhys is obviously worried about this, because he's not that much a person who cares about Tamlin to a huge extent, but he wants to keep Tamlin in balance because he's necessary to keep the 7 courts in balance, because he is the High Lord of the Spring Court, and we saw that he has his own festival which he does each and every year to keep the Spring Court in balance. So if something happens to him and if he causes some kind of imbalance to the world, it is not just going to affect the Spring Court but all the 7 courts together. They are already in a lot of tumult right now, and they don't want him to add something because of his own crisis to this huge thing. So it was nice to see them both together, and it was kind of like the starting point of redemption for Tamlin, which may or may not happen, but it was nice to see that he is given a chance there and he is addressed there. Next, let's talk about the character who's kind of like a fan favorite, okay, and it is Nesta. Okay, Nesta is like a huge load of mess inside this book, okay? She is totally depressed, she's grieving very much, and she's distancing herself from each and everyone that she loves in this world, okay? She is distancing herself from her sisters, she's not letting anyone come near her. She's putting as much physical distance in between her and the others just so they do not come and disturb her continuously. While doing all these things, she's also coping with all the sadness and grief that she's having in her heart and all the toxic ways that she can, and abusing herself, if you ask me. And she's just as cold and, kind of a bitchy person even during that point when she's totally depressed and not doing well. Okay, she's not letting anyone in, and she's being super mean to each and everyone inside the space. Okay, it was very, very irritating to read. I can understand that Nesta is a very favorite character for so many people, but trust me, while reading this book, I didn't just not care for her, but I also actively hated her because she was not at all being, let's leave cordial or nice. She was not even being good to people. Okay, it felt like she was hurting people intentionally just because she was hurting within, and I don't think there's any kind of justification for it even after reading the 4th book. We also see that Lucien is on Rhys's side now, but he is not given that much of importance by any of the people inside Rhys's gang, which was kind of very saddening for me, because Lucien has done everything in his power in order to show that he is supporting him. He has come towards Feyre and is totally under her control. He is trying to give all the support that he can to Rhys, and at the same time, he's not trying to, go and pester Elaine in some way just because she is his mate. I'm not saying that he's a good person because he does not do all these stuff. I'm saying it because he's genuinely doing it out of the goodness of his heart, okay? He wants it for the goodness of the world as a whole, so he doesn't care whether he is being tortured in a way for that or not. Internally, I can see that he can be very, very sad, okay? He is super sad, but I personally think he's excluded in so many things. And another thing which I want to add to wrap up this spoilery discussion is the way in which Cassian keeps on trying to impress Nesta, which was very irritating for me. So yes guys, that was my review and discussion of A Court of Frost and Starlight by J Maas. I hope it was useful for you, and if you have read the book before, please do let me know down in the comments what all you liked about it, what you did not like about it, and further on we can discuss. And if you did enjoy watching today's video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and also share it to your friends. If you want to get more content from me, do subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching and have a great rest of your day.